Fuck it. I'm carrying you. I'm carrying you with me. I don't like this. I don't like this stable, not walking around type shit. Immediately changed my mind. I'm putting you down. Snow. I am not a vegan. Let's get that out of the way up front. I'm pro hypocrisy. I'm a pro hypocrisy guy. I think hypocrisy is kind of necessary given the situation, given the state of things. I think you kind of gotta be a hypocrite. The incentive structure of every single system you're inside of is to be a huge piece of shit. So if you're behaving like a huge piece of shit, and you know it, and you want to get rid of all the stuff that makes you be a huge piece of shit, I think you could be a little bit of a piece of shit, and I think that's okay. I think that's okay, as long as we all start to realize that there's an incentive structure at play here. Not a vegan, not even a vegetarian. I should probably try a little bit more. I'll be real. I should probably try a little bit more. I am lazy as fuck. I think in some ways I'm defined by laziness. Not laziness per se. Irresponsibility, which is a great thing in a candidate. in somebody who wants to get involved in politics. Just announce on stage, get up in front of everybody and say, you know what I am? Irresponsible. I'm defined by irresponsibility. But I think that's come with a vulnerability. I think that's come with an awareness that I am weak-willed. I'm gonna look at you. I think it's come with an awareness that I am weak-willed, and that awareness has brought me to a lot of my positions. My positions on addiction, my positions on social media and advertising, all of that stuff is pretty connected for me, right? But this isn't about any of that. This one is about vegan stuff, all right? I'm not going to make the case for you to not kill animals or anything like that. I feel like it's been done better by smarter people. I could put some smarter people in the link in the description. Earthling Ed, pretty good at it. So I'll do that. I'll get smarter people to make the case for me there. I think most people, what they really need is not logic on this one. I don't think they need to have it calmly, rationally explained to them that there's some sort of a moral issue here, that their reasoning for what they're doing is false. I don't think that's the problem. I think one thing that they need is they just need somebody to look them dead in the eye and tell them that they're coping hard, that they're full of shit, that they're lying to themselves. Because I think on some level, deep down inside, all the true things. I think most religious people know there's no God on some level. They just really, really need there to be. That's why they talk so much about faith. What they're effectively saying is please keep believing this thing we know isn't true. There's a faith in meat as well. There's a carnism faith. They call it carnism. I guess that's kind of a jargony term, but I think on some level, you already know. You already know that it's wrong, that there's a problem with it. You just don't know how you can take on solving that problem, in addition to all the other fucked up shit in your life, right? You're probably, that's what it is for me at least, because again, I'm a fundamentally weak-willed person, a very lazy person in general, and for me, it's I'm already working full time, man. I can't commit to this learning how to cook vegetables shit. That's too much. The mayonnaise costs $1 more. I'm out. It's an extra $1 for them, and that is an immediate no from me. I need that $1. I need that $1 to purchase extra normal mayonnaise. So the hypocrisy, then, is that I do still advocate we do something. Not me, of course. just everyone. And everyone will include me, right? Inevitably, if everyone does it together, it will at some point affect me. So, generally, I'm a policy guy. I'm not big on the trying to tell people to just change, because like I said, it's not a rational issue. People aren't unconvinced by the arguments at play. You can show people baby chicks, little cute little yellow chicks going through a meat grinder. They don't need it explained to them that they don't like that. They know they don't like that. They just don't want to think about it, or they don't want to do much about it, or it just tastes good, so they sort of alienate themselves from it. I alienate myself from it. So we got to do something more collectively, I think. I think we got to do a policy. And people don't like when you do policy, but I like when you do policy. I think sometimes people on the right, they'll say that the left is trying to make meat a luxury, which is smart. I think it's actually very smart when they say that, because they have the foresight to kind of see where the ethical logic of a lot of people on the left necessarily leads. Where that necessarily goes would be making meat a luxury. And they don't talk to the real people who are sort of internally contradictory and idiosyncratic, because real people on the left are confusing and idiosyncratic. Real people in anywhere are idiosyncratic and confusing. They don't talk to that person. They talk to the imaginary, principled version of that person who follows through on what it makes sense to follow through on based on what they believe. And when you speak to that, you are speaking to some sort of a tax policy designed to render animal agriculture, the products of animal agriculture, somewhat more of a luxury, while hopefully also, on the other end of things, reducing the cost just in general of being able to afford food and living, but specifically of being able to afford non-animal agriculture products. And really, I've always thought that that's what I want, and it's weird. I think most people, for some reason, are more inclined towards a sort of freedom. I'm not, probably because I'm a weak-willed person, right? I don't want that. I want sort of the decision to have been made for me a little bit, so that I don't have to work at it, so that it's kind of planned out for me. I would love, health-wise, if I went to the grocery store and the healthy food was cheaper and the junk food was more expensive. I would love that. I think that would be great, because then I wouldn't have to push uphill to force myself to buy healthy food that's more expensive. Like every single individual time I go to the grocery store and make that decision, there's a little part of me that feels it in my gut. And if we just did that collectively through a tax of some kind, I don't think I would feel it as much, and it would change my behavior on like a depthful level, and I would be more inclined towards buying healthy foods. And I wouldn't think about it, I would just do it. I would just see, oh hey, the celery is really, really affordable. Maybe I just get that instead. It's cheaper. It's cheaper to just get the celery. So I would just get the celery. I think that would be great if we did that. And similarly, I think it would be great if we taxed the ever-loving shit out of animal agriculture industries. And you might think that's sort of dangerous for farmers. That might be the first thought. And I do, unlike probably most Democrats, I give a shit about those people. I do. I care about the rural farmer people. Democrats care about them too, in a way, but it's different. I think I care about them a little bit more depthfully than your average city-dwelling liberal. But there is agriculture that isn't animal agriculture. There are other options on the table here. And honestly, the ethics of this outweigh that, right? I think. So, I don't think any of this could happen overnight. I'm not suggesting a ban, right? Because you could, if you really wanted to just be really morally pure, you could just say, like, let's ban it. Let's get rid of it all immediately. Let's ban any kind of animal murder or what have you. You could propose a ban. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that would be smart. I also think that a lot of this, I come at it from a behavioral perspective, right? So I think we need to gradually change people's patterns of behavior. And the way you do that is not by banning something that they're used to overnight. The way you do that is by taxing it, sort of slowly, gradually raising the price of it. Actively learn what's going on. Like we as a society collectively see the raising in prices, and we start to move towards not a vegan diet. I don't think anybody's going to go vegan. I think we're going to go like flexitarian. You know, I think everybody's going to become a little bit of a flexitarian. And it's just going to very slowly meander towards more and more vegan options being viable, more and more vegan agriculture being profitable, more and more modern techie solution stuff like Impossible Burgers. That's more of a modern technology thing than like just chopping up a mushroom and making that into a burger, you know? I think more of that is going to become profitable, and the direction of consumer preferences is going to shift in such a way that it's going to grow non-animal agriculture industries, and then we gradually move more and more. But it would require, first of all, a push in the opposite direction of what we're doing now, because what we're doing now is not just not taxing it, it's actively subsidizing it. Meat is naturally much more expensive than it is now. Most of this animal agriculture stuff is very unsustainably priced. So the government subsidizes it to keep it affordable. We don't have to do that. We could just not do that. And the taxes are really a secondary step. Like, even saying we should tax animal agriculture is kind of misunderstanding the state of the situation, probably, because it's often been said that in the absence of these subsidies, the industry would collapse. Now, I don't know if that's true. That could just be something the industry's saying to scare us into maintaining the subsidies. But I say you get rid of the subsidies first, and then you start moving in that direction. And that definitely puts me at odds with 99% of all people in politics, because you go to the far left, let's say, and they think that is classist. Not really particularly concerned with any of the ethics of it, apparently. Just the classism, and it's weird because my angle comes from the far left too, where I'm not approaching individuals. I'm trying to do a collective change more than an individual change. But they think in general that it could harm the poor the most, that the poorest people are going to have the hardest time affording things. Maybe, probably not. I don't think. Because again, it's a behavioral change. It's moving people in a direction behaviorally more than anything else, I think. And then on the right, of course, they just don't like taxes in general. So there's really no base of support for this. As usual with most of the things I like, there's really no person endorses these things. Even though they would be good ideas. And I think that's sort of the problem, that's sort of the root of the problem, is that we don't think about behavior, we don't think about it in a very common sense way. Like, we don't think about it as just like, this thing is bad, so we're going to tax it, and this other thing is good, so we're going to subsidize it. We've let ideology get in the way of that level of common sense. So that's the policy. Tax the shit out of animal agriculture and subsidize alternatives.